Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Grote, and this is an MVM preview of The Quest Kids by Treasure Falls Games. The Quest Kids is a 2 to 4 player introductory dungeon crawler for ages 5 and up that is based off of the YouTube channel of the same name. In The Quest Kids, players will take on the role of one of the 4 Quest Kids. As a Quest Kid, you will explore Tolk's Cave, where you'll find treasure, monsters, and more. Over the course of the game, you'll acquire stars, and at the end, the player with the most stars will be the winner. Before I jump in any further, I want to mention that this is a prototype copy of the game and not a final version. Alright, so, the board is made up of a series of rooms. To set up the game, you'll shuffle the red dungeon tiles and place one face down on each spot in the 3 rooms on the right side of the board. The gray and green dungeon tiles are shuffled together, and these will be placed in the remaining spots on the board. During your turn, you'll choose one of these dungeon tiles to explore. The green dungeon tiles are always good, meaning you'll gain ability cards from them, and sometimes treasure. Gray dungeon tiles will bring you better rewards, but sometimes you'll find a lurking monster. The red dungeon tiles contain the hardest monsters, but also the best rewards. So this is a player board. It has a spot for everything you'll encounter during the game. Below the player board is where you'll keep your ability cards. There are power, magic, and wisdom ability cards. When you explore the dungeon, you'll find tiles that let you gain more ability cards, and then, when you explore a dungeon tile with a monster, you can attempt to scare it away by spending the required number of ability cards. Now remember, the Quest Kids is intended to be a kids game, so you're not killing monsters, you're scaring them away. If you can meet the required number and type of ability cards, you successfully scare the monster away, and you'll place it in this spot on your player board. This is where you'll keep any cards that gain you stars. This monster is worth 3 stars. If you don't have enough ability cards to scare off the monster that you're facing, you will lose one of your hearts at the end of your turn. And each of these hearts is worth 2 stars, so you want to avoid that at all costs. If you ever come face to face with a monster that you're not equipped to handle, you can ask for help from your fellow Quest Kids. The other players may give you ability cards that you need in order to help you scare off the monster. If they do, you gain the monster and place it with your other stars. Then, the other players gain 1 Kind Kid card for each ability card they contributed. So if Ivy offered to help by giving you 1 Wisdom and 1 Magic, then Ivy would gain 2 Kind Kid cards. The player receiving the help does not give the Kind Kid cards. They come from a deck of Kind Kid cards that are here on the board. Almost always, a Kind Kid card is more valuable than an ability card, so we found that helping each other was very common. Kind Kid cards have all sorts of various effects, like taking an extra turn, gaining an extra health, gaining a variety of ability cards, or just additional stars. And Kind Kid cards may be played at any time, during anyone's turn. You don't have to play them immediately after receiving them. You can hold on to them for as long as you'd like. One thing to note is that there are some other cards that you'll encounter, like this Tolk Gem of Wisdom. You cannot help each other when trying to acquire one of these. You can only help each other when trying to scare away monsters, but because the Gem of Wisdom is not a monster, it's also not going to hurt you at the end of your turn. When you successfully gain one of these gems, you get to place the matching colored gem on your player board in the special items spot. Another thing you'll encounter while exploring or when receiving Kind Kid cards are treasures. When receiving a treasure, reach into the bag and pull out 1 random treasure. Treasures have 2 star values on them. A treasure will be worth the number of stars at the top of the treasure, unless you happen to draw one that matches the Quest Kid that you're playing as. If that's the case, it'll be worth the star value at the bottom of the treasure. But there are also bad treasures. These will be worth negative stars at the end of the game. And if you draw a bad treasure that matches your Quest Kid, it will be worth negative 2 stars instead of just negative 1. Finally, the last space on your player board is the quest space. At the beginning of the game, each player will receive 1 random quest card. Most of these just require you to hold a certain number of ability cards, although there are a few others mixed in. At the end of your turn, you may complete a quest, assuming you have met its requirements. That quest is added to your collection of stars, and you'll draw a new quest. You can only complete 1 quest per turn. Players continue taking turns exploring dungeon tiles, acquiring ability cards, treasures, gems, scaring away monsters, until finally all the tiles have been explored. The game will end when there are no dungeon tiles left on the board. Once the game ends, everyone counts up their total number of stars, and whoever has the most stars is declared the winner. So that is essentially how you play the Quest Kids. However, the game also includes a campaign mode. This mode comes with a number of envelopes. During the course of the campaign, you'll read through the campaign guide and open envelopes when the guide tells you to. These envelopes will add new dungeon tiles, new cards, and give you alternate goals. They also add a story that unfolds as you play multiple times. You might have noticed that there's a spot on the bottom of the player board for something called hero cards. Well, I won't spoil any specifics, but these hero cards come in one of the envelopes and they give each player a unique ability. So if this looks like a game that might interest you, there will be a link to the Kickstarter campaign in the description. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions. You can follow MVM on all the social media platforms. My name is Kevin Grote, and this has been your MVM preview for the Quest Kids. See you in the next video.